Hey, everybody, welcome to Youth Ministry Help. And we are here today with some practical advice for you from my friend Gus Rubio. Hey, Gus, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Mike? I'm doing well. Doing well. It's a great day. A little hot in Arizona, but that's okay. I'm surviving.
All right.
Yeah.
It's hot slash not what you would consider hot here in central Indiana. So glad you're
Yeah,
hopping
we're
on.
yeah, no, I'm surviving. But yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super stoked to be here, man.
For people that don't know you, tell a little bit about what you have when it comes to youth ministry community and why you're here speaking to youth pastors today.
Yeah, so I have been doing youth ministry pretty much since I graduated high school, particularly junior high ministry, which I love. And so for me, just sharing and networking is something that I just really enjoy. And so, yeah, when you asked me to kind of come here and do this, I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And one of the things I love about life is movies. I'm a big movie guy, if you can't tell behind me. And so when you were talking about like what could we talk about, I was like, dude, I would love to share some truth about some movies that every youth pastor, volunteer, anyone who works with students should watch and can watch to help them just get an insight of with students. Yeah, and so I think in the all the years I've been watching movies, I think I got a few good picks. So I'm really excited to share. So
Awesome. Well, let's not delay anymore. I'll turn it over to you and I'll catch back up with you at the end of it. But let's talk about movies.
yeah, that sounds great. All right, guys. So I just want to explain that to you. My first job in high school, I worked at a movie theater, and I loved it. Always enjoyed movies. The story, I mean, the corny movies that I grew up with in the 80s and the 90s, I loved. And then as time gone on, movies of just epic proportions or some just really bad cheesy ones. But there are a couple throughout the years that I've just kind of seen that really hit close to home and really just show me a lot about that what it is. And I got a few that I would love to encourage you guys to watch and just be a part of. And so the first one is a fun one, and it is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's been remade, which is weird. It's a series of books. I never read the books. I just saw the movie that came out years ago. And let me tell you, this first one just gets junior hires, middle schoolers, that preteen age. So well. It is such a funny scene. There's great insight of wanting to fit in, identity. It talks about like even that transition for that. Yeah, I really love that. And so some things I want to point out about that movie that I think you guys would get a good grasp on is one, like the movie is entirely based on that transition time from being a little kid to becoming a teenager. And if you were winding to tape for you, it's a weird and awkward time. um, we can all remember that feeling. Whether you were the cool kid and you played football, you did a lot of cool things, or maybe you're that quiet kid that sat in the corner. I don't know where you were, Mike, but that was I was kind of one of those like in between kids where I had friends, I had some good stuff, but I still wasn't the most popular kid. And Diver Wimp Kid just shows that it's about a kid named Greg Heffley, and he wants to fit in. He wants to be popular. He has a best friend named Rowley, who is one of the sweetest kids you'll ever see on TV, um, and just their hijinks of trying to get along and get through life in middle school or junior high, whatever you call it. So some of my favorite points I have them written down here is the awkwardness of growing up. No matter who you are, you were awkward at one point,
Mhm.
right? Um, and and Greg is trying to fit in. And so I don't know about you, Mike. Were you awkward in junior high or?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, middle school is a weird time. So Greg is trying to fit in, and Riley, his best friend, is just trying to just be himself. He has a little kid bike that he really loves, and he has all these things that he wants to do. And Greg wants to grow up. One of my favorite scenes is after their first day of middle school or junior high. They're leaving school, and Riley goes, "Hey, Greg, like, do you want to come over and play?" And everyone stops. It's like a record screech, and everyone's like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, we don't say come over and play anymore. We say, do you want to come over and hang out?" And he's like, "Why?" Like, and it's such a subtle difference, but like, I mean, as adults, if I was like, "Hey, Mike, do you want to come over and play?" You'd be like, "What? What?" Like it just sounds weird. But like, why? What in our head like switches that thing?
Yeah.
And so that was just like a moment that just stood out to me of like just like one kid who still got that child innocence that wants to enjoy life, and that other kid's like, dude, I want to fit in. It's really great. There's another scene where they're forced to wrestle. I don't know about when you were in junior high or middle school. Did you guys have a wrestling unit like you had to do? In
No.
Indianapolis, no? Oh,
No.
man, so we did here in Arizona. There at middle school,
Okay.
that was, like, actually I wrestled through junior high and high school, but, like, that was when I first was introduced to the sport, and they have that in the movie, and so, again, Greg is a scrawny looking kid because we've all seen it, right? We've all
Yeah.
seen that junior high or middle schooler that's somehow crawled through the ooze that the Ninja Turtles crawled through, and they shot up 10 feet, and then you have
Yes.
that little sixth grader, seventh grader who's, like, still 4 foot nothing,
Yeah.
and they're both in seventh grade or sixth grade. You know what I mean? And so it's just that weird scene of them like trying to navigate even that, like that physical body change. Is something that is really awkward and weird, and they illustrate it so well in this movie. Um, yeah, and then even just the navigation of relationships with parents and family and peers and friends. Greg is all of a sudden getting himself in trouble, and he's not a great influence on Riley, and so Riley's getting in trouble with his parents, and that relationship, that whole dynamic, again, it changes. You're no longer their sweet little kid.
Mm.
You're their teenager, and now you're starting to form your own opinions and your own ideas, and yeah, it's just an interesting concept, I think, that as we talk about of that, just that change, that subtle change in relationships where parents don't understand what happened to their sweet kid, what happened to like why don't they hang out with this friend anymore? Why don't they spend time wanting to play their favorite sport or do something that they really love?
Yeah.
And that I don't know, that relationship is just is different. And
For
so
sure.
yeah, I think that's a really good movie. I don't know. You've seen it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Another one. Can I give you my second choice that every
For sure. Let's go.
youth person is Inside Out 2. I love Inside Out 1. It's great. It does a good job, but Inside Out 2 I think hits close to home when it comes to teenagers and students.
Mm.
And my favorite, so if you've never seen it, again, there's a little girl named Riley. It's inside her head. It shows all her emotions. You know, they have joy, sadness, disgust, fear, anger, and then she hits puberty and she gets more emotions. And a few that come on, one is anxiety, and it's like the manic kind of crazy one. But there's one that stood out to me that made me laugh. It was ennui, is the which is French for the boredom. And
Yes.
it's literally this this lethargic character on the cell phone at all times, completely bored, completely like just not interested. And when I saw that movie a couple summer ago, I was like, this is like every junior hire at summer camp,
Mm.
um, or every student at camp. Period. Like you'll be like, we're in California, we're over here. There's a lake, there's this, there's that, and then the kid is like, yeah, it's just kind of boring today. Like there's nothing really fun. Like, and it's just it struck me so much. Because it's there's teenagers are just a full range of emotions,
Mhm.
and I think that like youth workers, uh, a youth pastor, a volunteer, anyone who's in the lives of teenagers, whether it is middle school, whether it is junior high or high school, whatever you want to call it, whatever ministry you're leading or helping out in, um, there's a range of emotions that you are not aware of when it comes to teenagers. Like we don't understand why are they bored. Like we're spending a whole week in camp. Like,
Yeah.
why are you just sitting in your room on your cell phone?
Yeah.
Like, why would you much rather go play Fortnite than go swimming in a lake or go play rec games and things like that? It's just such a great study of a full range of emotions. Something I always say is that teenagers, particularly junior hires, everything they do, everything they experience is turned up to 11. It's
Mm.
turned up to the max volume.
Yeah.
Like, so when they're happy, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so great." And when they're sad, there's like, "This is the worst day of my life." And it
Yes.
was like they just didn't have. They ran out of chicken tenders, man. It's cool. They'll get some more. Like, but like the range of emotions are so they're not like level. Even I'm sure for us adults, sometimes our emotions are like back and forth. We're a little bit
Yeah.
more navigated, whereas In and Out does a great. Inside Out does not In and Out. Sorry, I'm hungry. My bad. Inside Out 2 does a great job of just showing that. Even the physical changes, like you start to see Riley's like changing. I think sometimes we undercut that
Yeah.
as we do youth ministry and student ministry, is that change of their bodies, and how do you like interact with that? I'm blessed to have an amazing wife and some amazing female leaders that like when
Mm.
like a girl student who I'm like, I don't know what it was like to be a middle school girl or a junior high girl,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
you do, can you walk alongside? And so it's kind of cool to see they illustrate that really well.
Mm.
And then even just mental health struggles
Mm.
um, is a big point of Inside Out too. There's the third act that, I'm sorry, spoilers, I apologize. But there's a third act where anxiety takes over and she's just having a manic episode. It's like a giant tornado and it's basically like cutting off all the other emotions. It's the whole big ending and she's just like anxiety's going crazy, the emotions like, and that's what our students are in. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and we just forget that, like the anxiousness. And so sometimes I tell leaders I've worked with, I've told other pastors or even parents, like, hey, remember, like your kid is living in a world that's very different than the world that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the emotions and the mental health they're experiencing is different than what we had. Um, Mental health wasn't being thrown around very big in the 90s or 80s or 7 whenever you
Yeah.
went to junior high. I mean, for you, might probably 1940, I don't know. But like,
Wow. Yeah.
um, sorry. Um, but Inside Out does a great job of just showing that,
Yeah.
um, of just all those emotions. So I would highly suggest that. Another one, I don't know if you've seen this one, it's called Eighth Grade. Um, It came out about 8 years ago. It was written and directed by Bo Burnham, which is like he's a comedian slash like once YouTube star and a really unique comedian guy. But he made this movie, and it was such a surprise when I went and saw it because again, it's such a great representation of teenage life. Like
Mm.
the main character, she's going through similarly. Like she's about to become a high schooler, so things are changing in her life. Her family dynamic is completely changed, um, and she's still though struggling with the daily like struggles of adolescence. Um, because I think there's not a great bridge from being an adolescent to being an adult. I think like for most of us, or people is like, okay, you're no longer a kid now. You should be an adult, and it's like, whoa, like how about some grace period, like. And, and this one shows it because again, she gets herself in trouble. There's drama. She's friends with someone, then she's friends with not someone, and so she's struggling with those things. Um, Even just like the way they like paint, even just her face, like she through the movie, you see acne, like pimples
Mm.
pop up, pimples go away. She's struggling with that. Yeah, it's just a hard thing. But one of the things I think they do really well in this is hard conversations. Like
Mm.
um, she's really good at like talking things through. Don't get me wrong, she's still a teenager, but there are moments in the movie that like just show some great conversation that she has with friends, with some teachers, with parents. Yeah, it's just one of those movies that I think is a great insight of like how do you have a good conversation with a teenager that's
Mhm.
living in a world that's different than you lived in and grew up in, that's experiencing things very differently than you are. Yeah, and so those three movies are just some of my favorite movies to like watch and tell parents or youth leaders that have come on board. Like I'm like, hey, you should watch this movie. I think this will be really great. I probably watch them every so often. Days when I come home from youth from junior high group and I'm like, man, that was a really tough night, and then I'll watch Inside Out 2. I'm like, oh, okay, I remember this. Or Diver Wimpy Kid. I'm like, man, that was so fun and being silly. And oh, okay, yeah, they like being silly, but they're still growing up.
Yeah.
Or even times, my wife I realized has never seen Eighth Grade, and so she was asking me about it the other day. I was like, yeah, let's watch it. You're gonna give me a reason
Yeah.
to watch an amazing movie. So yeah, those are some sweet movies. I love those movies. They're great. I would highly suggest in that. Yeah.
Hey, well, I appreciate you sharing those things. I love also that just getting together and watching a movie is training, and so that's a great thing. I think sometimes, especially if you're a volunteer or you're part time, you're on a small staff, you can feel overwhelmed with how do I get training, how do I give training, and just getting some leaders together and watching one of these movies, having some popcorn or pizza, and then talking about it afterwards, could be really powerful to help them have some aha moments when it comes to this stuff. I also know you have some really helpful resources that you can recommend if someone is not like you and doesn't like live in the world of movies and can't
Oh
analyze
yeah.
them quite as well. Can you share with us some of those things that you'd recommend?
Yeah, couple. So again, I know there's good filters. Something I always tell our students, parents, is that our mind, our soul, our bodies, like just discernment is really key. And so everything is, it should be like there's some good stuff that we want to wash away, or want to keep, and there's some bad stuff that we want to throw out. And so it's always different things. And these are just some great resources I've used to help like kind of like sift through: is this junk or is this good? Or one thing is IMDb Parent Guide. It's IMDb Internet Movie Database, but this one is a really like curated like a guide for just parents and even youth workers who are like, hey, I'm just trying to find the meat and potatoes of this movie. Like, I can't tell you how many times people have asked, like on any website that has youth ministry or Facebook group of like, hey, can someone tell me a movie? Is this movie good to show to my students? Or um, that website does a great job of just kind of giving you the lay of the land of what the movie is. Um, yeah, there's Common Sense Media, which is very parent friendly. Again, it's one I give to a lot of parents who just go on and who want to see like, hey, my kids, we have a very strict guideline. They don't watch certain movies until they're a certain age, or and so I tell parents that, hey, like I would go, and if you want to look up a movie, this is a great one. I know those will be there, and then obviously Focus on the Family does a great job with Plugged In. I know it's a little old school. I know sometimes you read the reviews or reading, it's like, okay, that's a little weird, but there are some good stuff in there. Um, yeah, and then I would just like look up those to use those three. Those are my like top three resources I've always shared with parents or youth workers to kind of get a good grasp on what's inside of a movie, what does it look like. Because yeah, because obviously we don't want to show a movie that's not very uplifting or great to our students, and it's like, oh man, what did I suggest? But those will help a little bit. So
Nice. Well, I appreciate that because those are helpful resources for us to use in youth ministry, helpful resources for us to share with parents. So that's a double win there. They got some training from watching this video. Obviously, people can leave comments and things if they're interested in getting a conversation going about some of this stuff on here. But if they wanted to reach out to you specifically and talk about some of this some more, or just see some of the stuff that you're doing in youth ministry and connect with you, what's the best way for them to
yeah.
reach out?
A couple different ways. I'm a junior high pastor here in Phoenix, Arizona. My the church I'm at is a place called Sun Valley Community Church, and I'm at the Gilbert location. If you're happen to Google that, but honestly, one of the only social medias besides that I use is Instagram.
Okay.
It's my name is something that I've been called by my sister forever, so it's Gustafin 86.
Okay.
You'll have to put it in the description so they can
Yeah,
see it,
for
because
sure.
it's like, how do you spell that? And yeah, that's my Instagram. You can follow me there, get some information there. You'll probably see pictures of me, my dog, or just weird videos of me and my wife trying to act like we're influencers at Target looking for toilet paper. You've
Those are
seen those
so
videos,
good.
so
Yes.
I know.
So
She
good.
does not like them, but I love them. Yeah, that's a great way. And then, yeah, if you want to get connected, comment or let me know, reach out. I can shoot you my email. Yeah, 'cause internet's a big place. I'm not just about to toss that out there, but I'm sure people can find it. But
Sure.
yeah, that's probably the best way to get in contact with me. But yeah, I love networking. I love talking and sharing with other youth pastors. So yeah, feel free anytime someone can reach out. I'd gladly help and talk.
Awesome. And then one last thing, I didn't prep you for this, but I know we've had some moments. I know our children's ministry showed an illustrated video, like an animated video about David, and they didn't realize there was a David and Bathsheba scene in there, and that's not quite what they wanted to show first and second graders and try to explain and talk about. I know I've had some video clips in student ministry, both middle school and high school, where we've had some language that when we watch the movie ourselves, we don't think about. So we got a clip ready to go. We get ready to play it, and then you play it in front of your students. You're like, somebody missed that and now we got some cleanup to do. Any awkward moments like that you could be just transparent and share, like, I use this for
Oh
training or I use
man,
this with students and oh, that was a miss.
yeah, yeah. I think it was last summer. Deadpool and Wolverine
Yes.
came out. Um, And I'm an adult. I can go enjoy a good movie. It's not the cleanest if you've seen it or know what I'm talking about. One thing So one thing I have is also Letterboxd, which is I don't know if you use that. It's basically like a movie rating like social network. Like you can like put your top four movies and people can follow. And so it's something like I log every time I go watch a movie. I'm one of those guys that goes watch a movie by himself and will like log it right away and
Yeah.
rate it and 3 stars, 2 stars, whatever it is. And sometimes I'll share the movie. You can share it from Letterbox to Instagram, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, cool. Went and saw Deadpool Wolverine. I shared it on my Instagram story, like a little, like a little the poster of it, and yeah. And then that week, I came back to church, and I must have had, oh my gosh, like 5 parents that Sunday just go, hey, like you got a sec, and I was like, oh yeah, what's up? And they're all like, hey, and we think it's, they're really encouraging. Thank God, a lot of grace in that, and they're like,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with watching movies. Um, just know, like your audience, like they see what you're posting, and your students, our students see that, and they respect you and look up to you. And like I had a conversation with my daughter who wanted to go see this, and I told them, hey, that movie's not appropriate for you. And they're, well, Gus went and saw it, and I was like, man, you're. I was like, you're
Yeah.
right, like. And they're like, we're not mad you saw it. We understand that people have different like expectation for movies. And so again, a lot of grace. It was like 5 parents that weekend. It was like, oh my gosh, like I really stepped into it. Thank God for grace and thank God for love. Those parents trust me, but they're like, we just want you to be aware of like our students see what you're posting. And I was like, no, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So now I'm a little slower to share my movie reviews for my letterbox. Um,
For
yeah,
sure.
but
The kids are watching. That's a great lesson right
yeah,
there. So
always watching. Yeah.
awesome. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate that. I know we'll have you back for some more videos. And thank you for sharing about the movies today. Hopefully, youth leaders, whatever role you're in, you found that encouraging. Gus is a great resource. And so I appreciate you taking some time today. Thanks again for sharing with us with Youth Ministry Help.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. We'll talk to you later.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you.
See ya.